Guys, and welcome to a new video. Today, day 3 is done, if we count it like that. Friday evening is like league start, day 1, Saturday, day 2, Sunday, day 3, I guess. And yeah, we are finally made it through the campaign. It took me actually, I think 25 or 26 hours, and we currently have a play time of 1 day and 5 hours, so roughly 29 hours. And I've got my first steps into the, T1, T2 maps kind of a thing, right? And I was really haggling, like, how am I going to, progress this character? And as you know, I started out as a spear character with Rake and Ground Stomp. Then I swapped to the Galvanic Shards and the Shock Burst Rounds combo. And yesterday, I decided to actually go for my first Bleed take, this time with Explosive Shot. So we're still staying with the Crossbow, but we're doing Explosive Shot. The main reason for that is the damage scaling. As you see, in Galvanic Shards, it is a very fast-hitting ability, but very low damage scaling. And what damage scaling basically does is the higher the damage scaling, the more damage you do. It's basically a multiplier on your flat damage, more or less, right? So here we have Explosive Shot, current level 23 with 8 levels to the projectile skills, mainly from the my crossbow has +6 levels of projectile gems. So basically this has 469 nice damage scaling, so the bleeds that I can inflict with that are a lot higher. And then we're using Plasma Blast, which is my single target ability, and the attack damage scaling right now is on 4,237%, which makes this like the ultimate boss killer. I'm pretty much one-shotting almost every boss that I've seen so far, even though I'm running like a more bleeding approach to it. Like I have here the Sea Red, just so we have a longer bleeding duration. Before that, I think I ran Lacerate for 50% increased chance to bleeding. Now I swapped my gems on my crossbow to the chance to cause bleeding, so now I have a global, I think, like 114% chance to bleed. So every attack that I'm doing now is causing the bleed. I would say, before we do any explaining on what did I change and what not, we're gonna run a map trying to actually find one with a boss in sight. As I said, we're now at T1 maps. I've done my first like Corrupted Nexus, so I'm getting out a quest for complete a T2 map on a Corrupted Nexus, and now is basically the point where I just like randomly map with like T1, T2 maps, whatever I find, trying to find another Corrupted Nexus to then do the Corrupted Nexus on a T2, so I guess this will finish the quest. I get my Atlas passive points and then continue the way. So what do we have here? Here we have a Crypt map with a boss, and here we have a Savannah map with a boss, with a Breach and a Ritual. I don't want to make this too long, so let's just do this Crypt map. That should do the trick for the map showcase, because there is not too much to show. I'm running this with a Primal Armament with Nimble Reload, Scatter Shot, and Fork. So this is basically a full-out clearing thing, basically. I have forks, so my projectile, once it hits, it spreads into 2 forks, and then I have a Talented into the Split Shot, so projectiles have 75% chance for an additional projectiles when forking. So sometimes, or most of the time, when I hit an enemy, my projectiles split into 3. Another cool thing is the Scatter Shot. So now, basically how the skill looks like, it's basically some kind of like bazooka kind of like style, right? But the cool thing is, if you put in Scatter Shot, it shoots 2 bullets in a row, which helps with the bleed spread. It helps with the clearing, because now I can potentially get up like let's say 2 bolts and then potentially 6 forks out of it, right? And once we get to a boss, we swap to the Plasma round, we empower the shot, and then we just try to one-shot it, right? So playstyle-wise, it's like a one-button build, because all we use is our, crossbow shot, more or less, whichever, ammunition we have loaded in. And as I said, my clearing skill is currently the Explosive Shot, just because it has a way better damage scaling. But I gotta say, even though it's T1 maps, it still feels kind of rough. So here we have the first rare pack. Sometimes I'm thinking about swapping to my Plasma Bolt, but honestly, I'm getting stunned so often and so easily that I think like just trying to load up this one shot without getting stunned takes like a while. If you're wondering, it takes quite a while to actually load up, and then we have this like big beam that inflicts an insane amount of damage basically on the bleed. But I guess that's why I found one greater Jeweler Orb. That's why I got my Explosive Shot on a 4-link now and my Plasma Burst still on a 3-link. Just because I'm using Explosive Shot like most of the time. So why should I try to get more damage on Plasma Blast if it already like one-shots almost every boss that I've seen so far? But yeah, it is like still like a slow and steady gameplay. I think I have like 1 Divine so far. Not dropped, but traded. And I think the next big upgrade will obviously be the Hand of Wisdom in action. I think there was like 1 pair in the market today for like an for 10 Divines. They might drop, they might not drop. There is like not many people being able to kill the Breach boss just because the Breach Splinters, I think, drop from tier 10 and above. It's Sunday, even me, as somebody that plays like 12 hours a day, is only at white tier maps, so the prices will most likely drop. The gloves got nerfed heavily, but I still think that these will be the premier way of scaling attack-based builds still with instacking, because at the end of the day, even with like 150 intelligence, it already does like more damage than the highest perfect rolled damage mod on a pair of gloves, right? Also, intelligence also helps you with like sustaining your mana, because the higher your mana pool, the more you regen. Basically, it's not Archmage, so my skills don't cost more in that case, and it should just make it like very, very nice and smooth once we have the gloves, and we should not have any issues. Hopefully, yeah, trying to beat the game this way. Later on, I don't know, probably a projectile skills amulet or something, or even an Astramentis, but I've checked the price of Astramentis. It's like day 3, and it's already, what is it, like 45 divines or something. So, here we are at the boss, I think, because yeah, here's the boss. So all we do now is we load up our Plasma Blast, we empower the shot, and then we move forward and load it up. So now you see this, like, little green fling over here. I just failed this one. But that basically means momentum is now active. So momentum is a support gem. If you use this as skill while moving, basically, you gain 40% more damage. And you see that on a green fling when I move and then load it up. And at some point, this was like not enough. So let's try it again. Oh, now you saw it, like this green fling. That's why WASD would be a lot better, but I'm so used to using the mouse, so I kind of have to like click on it far away and then start channeling so it actually moves the duration, so I get my momentum proc for the 40% more damage. So let's activate the boss. We reload. Got the shot up. Now we wait till the boss is actually live. Now we shoot 1 time, and there goes the bleed. And boom, straight up 1 shot. That's what I'm talking about in terms of the damage scaling for, yeah, Plasma Blast. It goes up to ridiculous numbers. Like, the best thing would be to get to, what is it, like, level 30, level 40 skill gem. That will give me, like, over 10, 12, 13,000% damage scaling, which will make this, like, an insane boss killer when it comes to that. But at the moment, I'm just trying to figure out what is the best way to do it for a clearing skill. I'm already using like nimble reload for the faster reload speed. I'm also speccing into faster reload speed on the bottom side over here. I'm thinking about even taking those like 70% reload speed. But I also think at some point, once we ever get to the point of getting an Astramentis and stuff like that, that we maybe have enough attack speed, because I think they fixed it in the patch notes where they said, oh, attack speed now scales the speed of reloading your crossbow as well, right? And that could be and should be a good way to do it. It's just, as of right now, I don't have a lot of attack speed, so I'm kind of like forced to try to stack some reloading speed, because on the other hand, it just doesn't feel good if you literally have to wait like 2 seconds and you just run around, try to shoot 1 time, and so I just want to have, like, as long as the damage keeps up, a good quality of life on that. So we have, like, 2 more rare monsters to go, so we're gonna do those before we go over my current, yeah, Atlas passive tree with a lot of changes. The tree, some cheap items that I sometimes, like, found myself, as well as bought a few of those. Which comes in very handy for a build like that. So, last rare pack, we could use this like blood mark, but I don't really see too much point into it. The stun is nice, because now mobs get basically stunned based on bleed damage, which wasn't a thing before. But for like rare packs, I just hope at some point I'm have enough damage that I just like one-tap every single rare. Even if it doesn't die on the explosion itself from the hit, that it just bleeds out, and that's about it. So, have we forgot any rare monster somewhere in the top side? It's like a little bit unfortunate checkpoint over here. So let's move there. But yeah, overall, it's like it's getting better by the day. I'm happy that I finally was going through the campaign because it was ass. Like I'm just gonna say how it is. It was ass. Now it's better. Now I feel like I'm playing a build. I'm not saying it's like an insane build by any means, but it's still like a playable build that I could like start progressing through the Atlas, basically trying to farm a couple divines and then try to get the Hands of Wisdom in action, which in my opinion is like a core item for this build, because as of right now, going over the gearing a little bit, we have like ally damage with attacks on my weapon, but without any base damage it doesn't do anything, right? So at the moment I would need a high damage crossbow, but once I have the Hands of Wisdom in action, I wouldn't need that anymore, because then elemental damage with attacks would be a lot better. Good. Let's go over the gear, followed by Atlas tree and the gems, or at least passive tree. So the heart here is basically this crossbow, plus level of projectile skills, ally damage with attacks, attack speed would be nice, and then as much flat flat damage as you can get. Since we are running the Blood Mage with the Blood Barbs, all of our damage, basically elemental damage, physical damage, can cause bleeding, so it doesn't matter if you have fire damage, lightning damage, cold damage. Any like flat damage would be insane. Projectile skills do have the positive effect that it scales the percent damage scaling, so the higher the level, the more damage effectiveness we're gonna have, so that inflicts like some nice bleeds. Then I have now 2 soul cores of the Opiloti in there because of the 30% global bleed chance, because there is not too many bleed chance on the tree. I do have a bunch of these jewels with bleed magnitude and bleed chance, and then on the bottom side here, I think we have some chance to bleed, bleed magnitude, and here as well some bleed chance. So over here as well, like a few points. But the thing is, I think stacking those jewels with chance to bleed plus the soul cores, in the worst case scenario, you can put in lacerate support for another 50%, but at some point you should be able to get a 100% chance to bleed, so you can skip all of that. Then the rest here, when it comes to like the gloves, the belt, the boots, the helmet, the ring, everything is like life resistance and try to get some flat damage. That's basically it. The chest here is actually self-found very, very early on. It's like a level 11 chest or something, like super low. But it has bleeding you inflict is aggravated, which basically doubles the damage of your bleed. We later on will have something like cursed targets. The bleed on cursed targets is aggravated. That will be something nice for bossing, so we don't need this chest anymore. And I think for mapping, we don't really need the aggravated bleed to kill that. But on top of that, we could take aggravation for the aggravated bleed with hits, and the Herald of Blood explosion also has a chance to aggravate nearby bleeds, but I think at some point we should have enough damage that we don't need aggravated bleeds for actually map clearing. But for bosses, we're probably going to put down a cursed ground or something, and then we have aggravated bleeds, and then just basically one-shot the boss. But this chest, super cheap. I don't even know how much this one is. I found it myself, 1 alchemy. It's just for the effect of bleeding aggravate. Then the Venopuncture ring. I don't know if they edited this. I think they edited this season, but it's supposed to be from Path of Exile 1. It has chance to inflict bleeding, as well as bleeding magnitude, and all damage from hits against bleeding targets contributes to chill magnitude, so we're permanently like chilling monsters on top of that. Has some flat physical damage and some strength, so overall very cheap and very, very effective when it comes to the bleed scaling early on. Amulet, I'm still running the one that I kind of crafted myself, just with projectile skills, some life, and the rest is like slammed low intelligence. Like it's a level 49 item level amulet, so a very low item level one as well. It could go up to 3 projectile skills, but I'm always like trying to get the character to a playable state where I say, okay, if my gear has life resistance, as of right now, I'm not even res capped, but this would be the first thing I would try to do before I try to opt in any unique items or jewels or anything like that. First, life and resistance, get res capped, try to get a healthy life pool, and then start working on your damage, right? So I would rather replace my I don't know, like any of these items here, ring maybe, gloves, boots, anything like that, to get me res capped before I would swap out anything. Good, let's go over the passive tree. I've done some reworks over here, mainly because I didn't even realize that they removed the jewel slots. So as you remember yesterday, we moved up here and then down here, but in the end of the day, they removed all these like corner jewel slots. This one used to be a jewel slot. This one used to be a jewel slot. This one here as well. They removed like 12 jewel slots or something like that. So that's why I started to go a different route here with taking some damages extra lightning, damages extra cold. As I said, all of our elemental damage can cause bleeding. So for these like 4 points, getting 10% damages extra is not bad. Then picking here up the jewel slot, going over here. With the Falcon technique, increase attack speed per dexterity. We don't have a lot of dexterity yet, but it's just like I'm just planning up front, and the increased attack speed should contribute to the crossbow reloading speed, just trying to make like an efficient pathing. Since we're running Fork, I've also got the split shot. Then here we have some wasting affliction or wasting note for the duration of our damaging ailments, and bleed is an ailment, it's just not an elemental ailment. Then damaging ailments deal damage faster. Here on the bottom side, we also have magnitude of damaging ailments. So all of these is like increasing our damage more or less. And there is a bunch of like bleed clusters over here with the what is it? Critical hit chance, which I don't have. And on the top side, I think they added this one with incision. I haven't really bothered with incision yet. I think all of these things, even the Keystone Crimson Assault, is something for like fast hitting abilities, maybe like melee combat, but for my kind of like one shot, one hit, one big bleed kind of like style crit and stuff like that will not really do the trick. Then some crossbow reloading speed. Here we have advanced munitions with also 25% increased chance to inflict ailments with projectiles, since we're using projectiles. It also helps with the bleed chance. And then we have some bleed notes over here. Another thing here that is very important later on, let's just go further, okay? Let's assume we get the Hands of Wisdom in action, we start intelligence stacking, then we want to have something like the Lightning Rod, we want to have the Wildstorm, as well as here on the top side, the Pure Power. I tried doing some pathing, but Pure Power I think is going to be my anointment. And then we're probably gonna spec into Wildstorm, or in one hand, like maybe at some point, maybe a Megalomaniac with either of those nodes, so we can just like, let's say Megalomaniac with Wildstorm, and we anoint the Pure Power just to save a bunch of skill points. Maybe gonna do that, maybe not. First of all, I need to get the gloves because before I have to think about how I'm gonna do that. But just from the point effectiveness, I don't think that I'm gonna manually skill up here with the Pure Power, because they removed all of these jewel slots here, so it's not really worth it, right? Other than that, this is the current state of the art. Let's go over the skills that I have. Explosive Shot with Primal Armament, Nimble Reload, Scatter Shot, and Fork. Plasma Burst with Momentum, Lightning Infusion, and Sea Red for the increased bleeding duration. It's just like, if I'm gonna get one big bleed off, then I just want to have it last like 10 seconds, just kill the boss and whatever. Then Emergency Reload with Premeditation, Persistence, and Ingenuity. The Ripwire Ballista that I always forget to use, but Font of Blood, Font of Rage, Font of Mana. It's basically, you put this down, and then you basically have those fonts active as long as you're near your Ballista. It's not like, I don't need it for damage, I just put it down. I get the more attack damage, I get mana regen, and I get life regen. Then the Bloodhound Mark, Conductivity here with Hate and Curse and Focus Ground, which I'm not using ever. Wind Dance with Pin, Maim, and Blind. Herald of Thunder with Long Shot, Electrocute, and Innovate. And Herald of Blood here with the Clarity, which is basically sums up all my 100 Spirit. I'm going to do now a Path of Building, because I think they updated it today, so you have all of these in a Path of Building form. And now it's basically going from now, yeah, just explore the Atlas, do my maps, T1 maps, T2 maps, and go up. And try to, at some point, get enough currency to buy the Hands of Wisdom in action. I have no idea where they're gonna land. I think, let me quickly check, I think there was one pair available, Hand of Wisdom in action. I think there's now a new base, right? It's now Spiral Reps? Yeah, Spiral Reps. There is one pair up for 10 Divines. If we check offline, I think there is just 2 pairs up, you know? So this is all that is right now, because I think Breach Splinters only drop from like T10 onwards, and then people need to kill the boss multiple times to get more splinters to then actually farm that. So I'm pretty sure this item will heavily drop in the upcoming days once more and more people get into the Xash territory. But maybe I'm able to farm like 10 Divines in a day or two just by mapping. I have no idea. I did actually make like 3 or 4 Divines today just by random drops. I didn't drop any yet. But you know, you just need to find one nice item that you can sell for like 3-4 Divines, and then you basically maybe get into the range where you can afford the gloves. And I think once we convert into like more of an intelligent stacking variant, we should maybe like double, triple, quadruple our damage with these. But yeah, that's it for my third update, basically on, or second update on the build. I'm gonna keep you guys updated as we go. Thanks for tuning in, thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.